Oh, what up, y'all? It's Fess. I'm back in the studio with the new Polyend Play. What is the Polyend Play? Well, it is an 8-track sample player and MIDI sequencer. And I gotta be honest with y'all, when I first got this in my hands, I wasn't really feeling it. I was a little bit taken back about what it couldn't do. But once I got over what it couldn't do and started accepting it for what it can do, I really began to enjoy it. And as a matter of fact, I played my first live show with this just about a week ago, and it was just excellent. It just armed me with everything I would like to do in my live sets and when it comes to drums and everything. It's like one of the main things that I actually like about this play is the actual performance section. And that was pretty much all of what I was just doing just now. So I really want to jump into what made me really go from not really liking it to really loving this thing. But let's start with the performance side of things. So before fully jumping right into the performance effects, just real basics about it. Again, this is the 8-track sample player and MIDI sequencer. These actual rows here are your actual 8 tracks, and this full arrangement right here is the beat that I have going on. So I can come over here and start muting some of these tracks if I wanted to. See, I just have a little hi-hat here and then my snare and kick up here. And that matters because when you go over to the perform section, every track that you have muted or selected over here will actually be routed to the performance effects. So let's actually just select all of our tracks so we can hear what's going on. And let's just start hitting triggering effects. So if we go over here, we got a lot of like beat arrangers, and it's just so fun to just kind of go through these. Or these like time-based effects, or these arrangers and these time-based effects, or this delay row over here, or just all these other crazy presets they got. You guys start to get the idea about how crazy just this section is by itself. And I'm only scratching the surface. If we come over here, we got reverb-based effects. And then we have our beat roller over here. And all of that, again, can be like basically combined with each other, so. And when you're doing anything on the play, particularly in the performance section, if you actually hold down the pad, that will allow you to release the effect as soon as you let go of the pad. But if you just tap it, it's going to stay on. And there's a few different combinations that we'll get into that's sort of like that. And then over here, we have like pitch shifting by semitones. And I don't have to do this on all of the tracks. I could just do this on, let's just say, this little hi-hat thing down here. Or however many tracks I want to. And then also over here too, again, you still have control over your sort of mixer section right here where you can mute tracks or solo tracks. Yeah, so with using these performance effects, I didn't even touch on all that there is. There's overdrive on here, there's like a bit crusher. But in addition to these performance effects, there's also master effects that of course affect the overall sound coming out of here. And this is the section, if you were in performance view or your arrangement view or performance view, you would actually hold shift, go over to master effects. This section right here, again, controls the master effects, which you have a lot of different options to choose from. You could do flat, clean mix, Scooby-Doo. But there's also a limiter on here and lots of different settings on that, including side chaining, which you can in turn set the insert for your side chaining to whatever track you want. So if you got a kick that you want to trigger the side chain, and there's even saturation with hard clip, soft clip, saturate, overdrive, all that. This master effects section is also how you control your reverb and delay sends. So there's a knob for that, and you could obviously use your track selection to send individual tracks to the reverb and delay send, but this is the same area where you would actually go and change the type. So just like every other effect, there's lots of different reverbs. And there's not a lot of control with the effects and whatnot as far as the actual parameters, but they make up for it with all those different modes, giving you all of the variety that you will be looking for in whatever effects that you're applying when you're applying them. So we jump right out the gate with the performance effects, but also you need to make beats and sequences in here to even take advantage of that. And in all honesty, this generative style of sequencing in the Polyend Play is another thing that I really, really love about it. So let's just actually make a sequence together, and in turn, I'll show you a little bit about how this thing actually works. So this is our pattern screen. If you're in your any other screen, arrangement view or the performance view, if you just hit patterns right here, this is your pattern screen. This is where you could chain patterns together and obviously select new patterns. So if you just hit an empty square here, now we're in a new pattern. And now I could start selecting tracks and placing samples. As a matter of fact, this is a whole new sequencing style that Polyend is dubbing pick and place. And it's not like your traditional sequencer or sampler or step sequencer or whatever. It's Polyend's way of doing things. And quite honestly, this was something that kind of annoyed me in the beginning until I wrapped my head around it. So let me show you what I mean. Before you do anything, before you place any notes, you should select the track and actually pick a sample that you want to place. One thing cool about the Play is you could load up entire sample packs. The sample memory is a little bit limited. You're only limited to 6 minutes of mono samples. Obviously, you could stretch that if you degrade the bit rate of the samples. But other than that, you're only limited to 6 minutes or 255 slots, whichever comes first. So if we go to, let's just do this chill hop pack. You can see all of your samples conveniently organized, and this is very important, especially if you're going to actually load up an entire sample pack. Organization is key because it takes into consideration all of these folders. You can easily flow through your samples that you have loaded by searching through the folders first. But more importantly, if you go over to this fill section here, fill is a very, very cool and unique thing that the Play does that I have just not seen in any other piece of hardware. And what it is it just basically fills in notes for you in various ways. First and foremost, you need to select the track to do this. So let's select maybe these top 3 tracks. And if you're over in fill, you have all these different fill types. There's random, there's Euclidean, there's kick, snare, hi-hat, which is why naming your sample folders and organizing them with kick, snare, and hi-hat is so important because it uses that. But also, you have all these different genres of fills. And this is where this thing is just really cool because you could just come over to beat and then just pick whatever genre you want. Let's do drum and bass. Go over here, select 3 tracks, go back over to fill. And if you go to beat and hit fill, it will actually lay out a kick, snare, and hi-hat type beat for you. And if you don't like that beat, either switch genre or stay on the same genre and hit fill again. And this, when you do that, it actually keeps the same beat, but just replaces the samples. It also has lots of randomization options on here. So let's go here. We're at the randomize section. Again, with almost every feature on here, there's different types you could choose from. So if we go down here, we could change the type to randomize the sample and folder. I could change that type to sample in the pool. Now it's physically pulling other samples off of my SD card and putting them in the pool. And what's cool is this percentage, it's sort of static. Like if you like what's happening on 19%, and this is again, a randomization setting, you could either save it or you could just go back to 0, which is your original groove. And then you can go back to that 19% level of randomization and it's going to be the same that it was. There's also chance, and chance is sort of like doing the electron parameter per step, where you could just take a step and set the chance that this step plays to either always or 90% or based off of actual logic, like play 1 and then skip 4, play 2, skip 3, longer. And then, of course, just like everything else, there's different types of chance things that you could allow it to make. The one thing about chance and randomization, though, when you're on randomization and you actually do something that you like, say this, for instance, you could actually save it, and now it's applied to the actual groove, it's saved, and now you can go over and add more chance steps to it or do other things. In addition to fills and chance and randomize, there's also what they call repeat types, which is, in my eyes, how you make ratchets. So I just laid these hi-hats down and I actually, I could put a ratchet right here. Let's do straight. But again, just like everything else in this wonderful, wonderful machine, it's all these different repeat types or ratchet effects. So let's do, this is sort of like a Pong left and right. That's cool. So in addition to all those cool generative style sequencing features that I just showed you about the play, you could still take things even further by using different play modes per track. Just like everything else, lots of different options to choose from. There's your usual sort of play forward, play reverse, if you follow this track right here. And then there's first steps, whatever that means. Go-go, let's put that on more tracks. And obviously, tracks, the individual tracks can have their own track length as well, so you can get into some really polyrhythmic, just grooves very easily. And also, in addition to that, each track can have its own track speed. And in addition to that, each track can have its own swing, which is something that I have definitely not really seen on hardware sequencers. So there isn't a song mode as of yet, but like I mentioned earlier, you could chain together patterns if you're just in the pattern view. These are my actual patterns that I got going. You can link these together and have them sort of keep playing and however long you want them to keep playing. Or you could actually, within a pattern, take advantage of the variations. So these variations right here are sort of like the Ableton clip screen, where it's like you have your different clips and you can have it playing, and you could have your variations playing over here in this row, and then switch over to this row, and it all stays within time. Each track can have up to 16 of these variations. So you could already see how without the song mode, but with using pattern chaining and these variations, you could really get to the point where you're arranging full tracks and launching them and playing them or remixing them however you want to. So in addition to everything that I just laid out about the Play being a wonderful sample player, you could take most of everything of what I just said and go over to the MIDI section here, and now you have an 8-track MIDI sequencer that could be used for external gear and even USB MIDI devices, including laptop software, iPad apps, whatever you want to MIDI up to this. So actually, that's what I'm gonna do right now, is actually get my modular, because this works well with the ALM System Coupe, and do some MIDI sequencing with it. So that is most of the things that I have grown to love about the Polyend Play, and obviously that's not everything that you could do with this. There is a lot more that can be done, but I just wanted to talk about everything that made me go from not really digging it to really actually loving this, and this being a viable piece in my studio and live on stage. So I'm really anxious to hear what you all think about the Polyend Play. Definitely leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. And this is available now for order on Reverb, so get yours ordered today. And that's all I got for y'all today. I'm Fest Grandiose, signing off with Reverb. And as always, stay safe and keep creating. Peace.